Hello there, and welcome to the Out of Time Film Podcast, where we talk film, TV, games, and all that jazz like there's no tomorrow. This week, we're talking about Tenet. We are revisiting 2020's Tenet because it is our 1 year special. My name is Tom, and as always,
Yeah,
I'm joined with my co-host John. John, 1 year. This is incredible.
it has been. And today, well, it's going to be shorter than usual because we're not gonna. Are we gonna expand on the news and
Yeah, we've got a couple of pieces of news. We've actually got some
Oh,
emails as
okay.
well, so it might be.
Ignore me. Sorry, I
He
thought
doesn't
we
know what
just
he's talking about. He's
not
mad.
that just diving into it. But yeah, we are very excited to talk about Tenet. Because our thoughts last year has been, you know, drastically changed
Definitely.
from
We literally
today.
watched it this morning as we are recording this. And if you haven't seen our previous thoughts on it, go back 52 episodes ago, and episode 1, all the way back in August of last year. We talked about Tenet, and we also did a Nolan ranking. So there's quite a lot to talk about there. But yeah, 1 year. That is incredible. I think we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. So let's get straight into it, shall we?
Yeah, let's get into it.
We are getting a Black Canary film to go straight to HBO Max. Journey Smollett from Birds of Prey is going to be reprising her role, and it will be written by Misha Green, who wrote Lovecraft Country, a TV show
Mm.
starring Journey Smollett and Jonathan Majors last year. What do you think
Oh
about a
wow.
Black Canary film? I know you haven't seen Birds of Prey, so what does this kind of mean to you?
That's going to be interesting
Mm.
because I don't know much about the character, but I will in if I got time to watch Birds of Prey.
Mm.
So I'll I'm sure everyone's going to be really excited for this because I think it's a character that um is it's interesting to find out because ability is to
Scream.
scream.
Yeah, that's right. I
Yeah.
literally watched Birds of Prey just before I watched The Suicide Squad, and having not seen it since early 2020, and not only does the film really hold up, but I think Black Canary is the standout of the new characters, and I'm really happy that we're going to get to see her in, and there's loads of different possibilities. Obviously, she has a history of Black Mask. I mean, this could be a prequel, see her with Black Mask and bring back Ewan McGregor, or even at the beginning of James Gunn's Suicide Squad. I think Jim Lee said that Savant was captured by Black Canary, hence why he kills a canary at the beginning of the film. Did you hear about that?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so like
Oh,
it's really cool that they're doing this stuff. I mean, like there's loads of things coming for DC with like obscure characters. We've got a Zatanna film coming, an Our Man film coming. Black Adam's gonna have loads of the Justice Society of America, of like Doctor Fate and Hawkman. I just think it's really cool. I'm excited.
yeah, go for it. Let's see what they got.
I agree. Let's see what they've got. Now, another piece of comic book news is Black Panther Wakanda Forever is now set to introduce Riri Williams into the MCU. Riri Williams, of course, being the Ironheart, so like the new kind of version of Iron Man, but obviously like a young teenage girl. So as we already know, played by Dominique Thorne, and she will be getting her own Disney Plus show. So what do you think about her being introduced in Black Panther as opposed to in her own thing?
Um, I think that's I think that's cool actually because we've watched Black Panther and with the technology
Mm.
behind it and how cool it was with the vibranium and see how it worked. I think this is a really good introduction to the character to yeah, and
Interesting.
I've
I
read
hadn't have thought about that. I hadn't thought about the fact that it could be, she's using Wakandan technology, and that's quite interesting actually.
yeah, that was what I was thinking. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's good.
were you gonna say that you've read some stuff with Ironheart in?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know, but I it's in the back of my head. I think I've read some, but
Hmm. She's
yeah,
not
but yeah,
someone
she's
who I know much about. Like, I don't know much other than like, oh, it's another kind of Iron Man. And I feel like because of that, I'm a little bit like, we've already seen Iron Man. He was basically the center of the MCU for 10 years. He's had some really good appearances, and his story's over. Like, I would much prefer not to have another Iron Man archetype, let alone the fact we still have Rhodey, who is, gonna have armor wars and stuff. This is like, I feel like from that point of view, I don't know how invested I am yet.
Yeah, but I think it's a character that is interesting to introduce. So
Definitely,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
And do you think that they should? Because I don't know. Because obviously, Wakanda Forever is going to be quite a bittersweet one because it is going to have to, in some way deal with and honor the legacy of Chadwick Boseman. Do you think that? Because I kind of feel like maybe if they're introducing Ironheart, they might not be the most concerned with doing, with furthering the story from the first Black Panther. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah. With what happens in the MCU, with Chadwick Boseman and everything, I don't know. I didn't think about thought about that.
Yeah, I think it could be interesting, but I'm more interested in seeing the next chapter for all these characters and how they have to move on with whatever they
Yeah,
decide to do with T'Challa, and how Wakanda and how the storytellers will, use this to tell a compelling story rather than as a vehicle to kind of introduce this new character.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's it for news. Only a little bit of news, as I said, but I feel like we've got a lot to say because it's Tenet time, John.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Okay, so I thought I have notes. I have notes about what we said way back in episode one, but I'm gonna start it
All right.
exactly how I started it last year. John, explain the story.
Oh God. Right. So now I think we got the an idea what the story is because last year
Mm.
we had no idea. We were talking absolutely nonsense.
Yeah,
Like,
it is still really complicated, but I think the saving grace this time is that we watched it with subtitles on, and it was like a whole
thank
new world.
God.
Yeah.
Thank God for subtitles. So we've got the understanding of the story. So we've got this CIA agent who's working, well, obviously for the CIA,
Mhm.
and
Oh,
he's
wow,
trying
a
to.
CIA agent working for the CIA.
Wow.
What are the odds of
Uh,
that?
so they do a mission where they find this object and they didn't know what it is yet. And then the Russians find out what they are the CIA, so they are CIA agents. And then they interrogate them and torture them.
Oh,
And
spoilers, by the way.
oh yeah,
Probably
spoilers.
worth
The film
saying.
came out a year ago, so
Yeah,
you
it did. If
probably
you haven't seen it already, you're probably not going to.
so. And it, he gets the suicide pill, which
Hmm.
is not the suicide pill.
No.
He wakes up and
What are
the
we?
guy.
What are we? Some kind of suicide pill? It's the same. It's
So
the little things in life.
yes, so it finds out it's a fake one, and he is now into an organization called Tenet, and he wakes up from a coma, and he is apparently dead. So he works for Tenet, and therefore the story's
This is this is already confusing me. And I just
Oh
watched the
God!
film. Um, so right, I'll give you some notes from episode
Continue the
one.
story. Continue the
Right? Oh,
story.
you want me to continue? Okay. So he spends ages doing pull-ups in a windmill. Important time saving
Yeah.
abilities, and he learns about Tenet, about this time inversion. So he finds out about he goes to an arms dealer who tells him that um Oh God, she tells him that like
Oh,
the bullets weren't sold like as
that
inverted bullets. These bullets, they're
yes.
like actually like been like they're from the inverted technique is from this like nuclear fission. So he speaks to Michael Caine, and Michael Caine's like, oh, it comes from this like Russian arms dealer, and so like he goes to her, it. I'm not gonna
Okay, do
bother
you want me to
explaining
explain
it.
it? Okay, I'll explain it. So the
Let's just.
scientist, or the
Oh, here we go.
arms dealer, inversion explains that these type of ammunitions are this type of metal
Mhm,
241, which is plutonium,
mhm,
and this type of metal causes nuclear fission.
mhm.
Therefore, time inversion goes to Michael Caine. Hey, this guy transport these, and he's the guy who gets this stuff. So then he grabs one of the paintings from the wife of the Russian's arms dealer, and the painting is by a guy called Arepo who fell in love with the wife. So, and it was also to get access and leverage to the arms dealer, so that it can so the protagonist could get to the arms dealer. So so they went to Mumbai. No, that was before. So they went to Mumbai.
They've already gone to
Uh,
Mumbai. They don't. Do they go back? I don't. Okay,
they
right. Let's. This is gonna take us too long, and so I'm gonna go straight into. I'm gonna. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna read out some stuff that we said back in episode one,
okay, yeah, do that,
and
do that.
I'm gonna see has our opinions changed. Okay, so the first point here is that we said the characters were very blunt. What do you think about
Yes,
that? Do you agree with this, or do you think that you now have a newfound perspective on that?
I have a newfound perspective.
Holy shit! What a twist! Go on,
What a
please.
twist! Right, so I have a new perspective on the characters. Because with the subtitles, with the dialogue, I understand a lot more with their intentions and what they're trying to do. In the cinema, we had no idea. We were just
No.
thinking, oh yeah, these characters, what they're saying, oh we don't know.
I think
We don't
Christopher Nolan has always had like a bit of an audio problem. A lot of people can't understand Bane in Dark Knight Rises. I've never had that, but I get it. A lot of people can't
Yeah.
understand some of the pilots in Dunkirk. I think Christopher Nolan's always like been criticized for having like, audio issues. And that is actually the second point on this list. In episode one, we said that there were audio issues. And I think there still are audio issues, but with subtitles, it doesn't really matter, you know?
Yeah. And now I understand what the film is trying to do with the things, especially with the subtitles. Thank
Definitely.
God.
So yeah, characters. Did you think these characters are blunt, or do you think that there's more kind of depth to them now?
Depth to them now. Yeah.
Mm.
What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think a big thing was that I didn't really feel like there was an emotional kind of center of the film, but I feel like there is now. I feel like the toxic relationship between Andre and Kat that kind of goes through the film is that emotional core, like like you've got the huge climax with all the time, like time inversion stuff, but you've also got like a more personal climax, which is, kind of Kat finally taking control and, like taking her life back from her abuser, escaping from the cycle of violence that has been intertwined in throughout the whole film and beforehand. And I thought that especially was really well done. Like I really felt that second time around, understanding
Yeah.
everything behind the context of it and not being confused. I really liked that actually.
Yeah. And I feel like that, especially with the end spoilers, with the whole plot twist of Neil having a longer time with, well, I have more knowledge than protagonist. So the protagonist, this is like the start of the friendship. So, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's more emotional impact because with like the dialogue and what it does. And the second time around, you see the details and you go, oh wow, okay, so yeah,
Yeah, I was actually quite like choked up by that ending when like throughout you kind of see like as the protagonist begins to understand more and more, he kind of begins to understand Neil more and more, and they kind of become more open with each other, and you see like a bit of a friendship begin to bond. And when like Neil leaves at the end and says, "Oh, I see this is the ending of a beautiful friendship," it kind of got me because I feel like the performance has really brought out that angle that I didn't really see because I couldn't understand like all the dialogue, and
Yeah.
therefore I think that they have a really nice emotional ending as well. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that was like a big thing for me that now I'm really happy to say. I mean, it's not like it's Inception. I mean, it's not that good, but I think like I do think that it's a lot better now that I can understand all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially with Inception, the first time I was like, okay, what did I just watch? Second time, what? Third time, I was like, oh, I can't speak anymore. And then fourth time, I was like, Eureka moment, right? There you
Exactly.
go.
I feel like this is a thing that happens in some of Nolan's most like mind-bending trippy. Like I think Inception, Interstellar, and Tenet, it seems like every time I watch them, I've watched Inception so many times that I understand it completely. But with Interstellar and Tenet, I've only seen them both twice. And the second viewing is so important because I understand so much more. And I'm just like, oh my God, that makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
I thought that
Wow.
particularly Kenneth Branagh as Andre was a really good villain. Um, Somebody who was just completely, I don't know, I guess kind of like self-centered to the fact that he's like, I'm going to die and I'm going to take the whole world with me. And he's gone through so much that he feels like, nothing is worthy unless it's kind of like he's touched it. I thought that was like really a good way to kind of contrast Cat.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like the characters second time round were more balanced.
Mm,
So yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
And that is the third point on this list is that back in episode 1 we said that there was a lacking emotional core. I definitely thought that it was better this time, 100%.
Yeah. I agree.
Um, yeah. Uh, Fourth point is that it's brilliantly shot, scored, and acted. I agree. I think that still makes sense. There are a couple of weird edits, like you pointed out a couple of weird
Oh,
edits, and I
agree.
think that
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
sometimes it would cut from like one scene to the next, and I was just kind of a bit like, oh, okay, that's strange. But I
Yeah. That
mean,
is strange.
considering the time inversion stuff, like let's talk a bit about that. That was some of the most like the action sequences, the time inversion was some of the best like choreographed and shot and sequences, I guess. Like they were so good.
Yeah. And like in the cinema, it was a bit um overwhelming. But
Mm.
then she no, sorry. My brain decided to go no, and this that it was overwhelming, and I didn't know what was going on. But the second time, I felt a bit more um better. I feel like, oh yeah, this is great. I can with the music, with the subtitles, and with the everything that was going on. I thought the choreography of the inversion was just so good to see, and it was so cool, and I felt more understood. A bit more
Mm.
about calmer with what's going on.
Yeah,
So
I think the slow build up of every time we get a big inversion sequence, you understand it a bit more to the point where I thought the ending of the film was so cool. We were just kind of sitting there going like, "Oh my God, this is actually like really, really like fun." Like there's this one particular moment where so there are two teams. There's red team who's going forward in time and blue team who are inverted. And they both have a 10-minute timer on their watch, both one of them going one way, one of them going the other. And they both reach the 5-minute mark. And once they do, they both blow up the same building. And so there's this shot of a
yeah,
building coming back together and then exploding, and then and then coming back together and exploding from another point. And I just thought that was like so clever and so cool.
yeah, and like it works so weirdly. Like you know what's gonna happen, but then it just explodes, and you just go, "Oh my god, that is wow."
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
uh,
Nolan is definitely a misunderstood genius. Um,
Yes.
I think the score is another thing that I think was like
Oh, the
so good.
score is so good. The score, I was like bopping to it. I was like, yeah, yeah. And yeah, it's just so enjoyable to listen and yeah.
Yeah,
I
another
just
thing
had a
that
great
like
time.
in the score, another thing that I think it made me like the third act more. I was very critical of the third act first time round. I thought it was just a load of action and it was very convoluted and there wasn't that emotional core. But as I said, I think there was an emotional core. It's cutting back and forth between the big action sequence and the tension to the tension that is more rooted in character on the yacht. But there was this just amazing bit where somebody asks the protagonist something. um she's like the protagonist gives Kat a phone and he's like, okay, so if you ever think you're in danger, call it, state your name and then like where you are. And she's like, how will I know like who's going to respond? And he just says posterity, which is like a continual motif throughout the film, like them saying posterity. And then the theme posterity starts playing and it's just like this amazing like moment of like where the score just starts booming as they begin to get ready for the final action sequence. And I just thought that was amazing.
Yeah, like it's so good with the soundtrack and how it works into most of the scenes. Like the high scene, where when you get the 2-for-1 thing, and the music's just
Mm,
like intense, and then just goes into play, and it's just like how engaging it is. That's the most thing about this film, is just like it's so engaging to watch. And I
definitely.
feel like sometimes with the editing it was a bit weird, but mostly it was just so enjoyable. In the cinema, I had no idea what was going on, and I was felt uncomfortable because I was like, my brain is not my brain's smooth now. I can't.
Yeah,
What?
it's. I thought that, like, obviously, I think it was really well paced as well. Like, I was never bored. I don't think there was a dull moment. Like, there are things that I would cut out of the film, like the boat sequence where they just kind of ride boats and talk to each other, which is, it's like, why do you need to ride the boats? Like, is that really important? Like, that was just such a strange scene. But other than that, I did think that Nolan, took every opportunity he could to explain the mechanics and develop the characters. And I think it was like really well paced. Like never did I ever think like, oh, this could kind of speed up a bit or slow down. I think the action sequences, there's only about like 4 action sequences at the end of the day, maybe 5 if you want to say that one of them is an action sequence forwards and backwards. But like, there's not like a lot of there's not like it's not overwhelmingly action heavy, but but it also has enough to keep the pace moving.
Yeah, yeah. And it didn't really ruin the pace. And I thought in the cinema, I thought it was, because with the confusion stuff,
Mm.
like the sound, I had no idea what was going on. It was just a bit. But now we understand a lot more.
Yeah.
So
Another
yeah.
another note that I have here is that we said that it was too dry, too lacking of comedy. But I think like looking back, there was quite a lot of levity in there. There was an amazing line that I think we both just lost it at, where the protagonist is taken into the kitchen of a restaurant to be like beaten up by these guards. He just says, "I ordered my hot sauce an hour ago." It was amazing.
Yeah.
Just some like really fun like moments that I think I overlooked first time around because I was so busy trying to wrap my head around all the mechanics of everything, But this time I got to kind of sit back and enjoy the good cinema.
Oh, good cinema. Yes. Enjoy that. But I wish, in the cinema, the audio was a bit better, and I'd be like,
Mm.
whoa. So
Yeah, even if we do have subtitles, I think that is a problem. I think that we probably would have liked this a lot more if we had seen it and Nolan had sorted out some of those audio issues, because that's like I do think that's really frustrating how for a whole year I've been saying Tenet's all right, it's not Nolan, it's probably my least favorite Nolan film, but now I feel a lot more positively about it, and it's kind of and it annoys me that that I had to that that I've been thinking that for so long, and now I'm like, oh, actually, I was the one who was wrong, you know.
Yeah. Um. Wait. Sorry for notifications.
That's
My
all
friends
right.
are. Right. So.
He's getting so many calls. He's such a popular lad.
We're so popular. So. With everything. With the story in the cinema, we said was too confusing
Mm,
because we didn't know what was going on, especially at the end of the battle. But now
yeah.
we felt a bit more calmer. We felt,
Mm.
we just, understand everything with the subtitles.
There's
It
still
was
stuff
not,
that there's still stuff that was confusing me, I have to say.
yeah,
Because like there were still moments that I was like, I'm a little bit confused, a little bit lost. I guess when I watched it the third time around, I understand it even better. And as you probably just heard from us trying to explain the plot, there are still things that are like so much is going on, and the plot moves so at such a brisk pace that it's easy
uh,
to lose things. I think get caught. I mean,
yeah,
another note here is that we thought that Nolan got too caught up with the mechanics of time inversion, which creates a lack of character focus. And I kind of do agree with that. I think that Nolan, he spent so much time explaining the rules that when they were used in practice, I was still kind of confused.
yeah, exactly. But I think the character stuff was balanced. I thought it was there, but I
Yeah.
think it was mainly about time inversion itself. What was going to be like this, but sometimes uh, time inversion was taking over the spot. We didn't understand what was going on really with like what are these characters sometimes doing. Like when they get the painting or what to do with that, and sometimes we just forget about those and go, oh wait, what? Just but didn't we? Yeah. So
Yeah, I feel like this film could have been made simpler if Nolan had have, taken some things out and just kind of made things a little bit more streamlined. It would be easier to understand. And obviously, as we've said, it is easier to understand with subtitles and second time round. But maybe I'd understand it even more if Nolan had have, just told us a little bit more. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, and how important it is to the characters, but it was what was going on. But I feel like time inversion was just all over the place,
Mm,
with what was going to happen. So yeah,
definitely, definitely. One thing that we also said was that the opening was convoluted and unclear, but I really like the opening this time around. Seeing some of those dots that are eventually connected, seeing Nolan set up things that he's eventually going to pay off, I thought was actually really, really interesting. You know,
yeah,
and I mean, this film just fascinates me now. Like, I'm kind of like, I'm almost wanting to go back and watch it again and understand it even more because
yeah,
like Inception's my all-time favorite Nolan film. And I know that yours is Memento, and they're both
yeah,
like difficult films to understand. They're films that I would say that Memento is probably the easiest of the three to understand.
yeah,
But like you need to like think about it a lot, and I feel like that is where Nolan excels at. The more you think about his films, the more you're like, oh, that is actually genius. This is like really, really incredible.
yeah. I agree. Like it's a film that makes you want to explore more about like the world and everything. What's going to happen, and hopefully we get to see more of this because in the cinema we're like, Uh, okay, but now it makes us feel more connected to what was going to what was happening. So yeah, um what you said. My
Yeah,
brain's still is trying to process what
I know
just
it's
happened.
been
So
less than an hour since we finished, or maybe just over an hour at this point, and I'm kind of still like, there's still so much that I'm confused about. Here's a question. Obviously, at the end, Neil talks about like, oh, we've known each other for years, and you're going to meet me in the future for you, and we're going to have loads of like adventures, and it's going to be great. And then we said like, we were like, oh yeah, sequel. Do you think you would want a sequel now?
um I actually want to see that actually
Yeah,
because
same.
I said actually twice. I really want to see that because I know Nolan, but Nolan did the Dark Knight trilogy, but he
Mm,
can do something with this. Because I feel like now we got the idea of time inversion. We want to see more of the characters. Like how it's going to be interesting. What other missions can he have? What it's going to be so interesting if he does
Yeah.
that. So
Like I think, as you say, Nolan hasn't made a sequel apart from like in the Dark Knight trilogy, but all three films are very like distant from each other. They have like an ongoing kind of narrative about Bruce, and but like each film is a different threat. It's not like something like Lord of the Rings, where like each thing is like very closely interwoven. I think that's what Tenet could be. Like I think the second film, if they made it, and I would love him to make it, I think out of all of his films, this is the one where I'm like, yeah, I'd totally love to see more. I think this is a concept that can be expanded upon. I think the characters are really good, and obviously they've set up for more stuff if they want to. And I think that John David Washington and Robert Pattinson have a really good chemistry and could
yeah,
really sell that friendship even more in a second film, maybe even a third film. I mean, I don't know. I guess if Nolan has something to tell, a story to tell, I think he should do it.
yeah, I agree, and I feel like this is the one of the stories that you can expand upon because I feel like there's a lot that's left out.
Mm.
So
Yeah, you definitely. I mean,
obviously,
I wouldn't say you can like. I wouldn't say that there's anything else to say in Inception or Interstellar or
yeah,
Dunkirk,
exactly.
but this film, I feel like there's loads more that we can explore.
Yeah, and because there's a lot more to experiment actually, with a
Mm.
lot more characters and like what it can add. But as you said, like Inception, Memento, and some, all the other
Yeah,
Christopher Nolan films, they're all standalone
they
apart from
are.
the trilogy.
Mm.
So they have their own narrative. So this could work really well, and because we want to see more of the relationship between Neil and the protagonist, and yeah, I'm up for it. I'm up for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I think I'm doubtful whether this will happen because Tenet wasn't amazingly received. I think everyone kind of thought everyone did think that it was quite convoluted, and there were problems with the audio and such that did turn a lot of people off to it. Like I myself, I regret it now, obviously, but I was telling a lot of people, "Oh, don't bother go watching Tenet.
Uh,
Like it's so complicated."
oh,
And I
did we
wish
say
that,
that?
yeah, I wished
I
now
don't
that
think I
I'd have
said.
said,
Well, I said I enjoyed it. I think I said it. I
yeah,
liked
I
it.
think from the beginning you liked it more than me. Which brings me to, so obviously episode 2 of the podcast, we ranked all of our favorite Nolan films. And for me, this is my least favorite Nolan film, and for you, this is your sixth favorite out of his 9 films.
Yeah.
So what do you think now? Has that changed?
Yeah, it has
Okay, so
dramatically.
where would you put it now, do you think?
So okay, I understand more of the
Wait,
stuff
is it
now.
9 films? Wait, is it 9? Wait. Following Memento, Insomnia, Prestige, Batman Begins, Inception, The Dark Knight, did I say The Prestige? Interstellar, Dark Knight Rises,
Yeah,
Dunkirk. Oh, it's 11. It's 11 actually.
11.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
cool.
want to put it uh top three or top. Yeah, top three.
Ooh, wow, okay. Interesting. I mean, it's definitely not my least favorite anymore, and I'm really happy about that. I wouldn't exactly say top 3. Um, I think I'd say it's kind of like in the middle. Um, I think that it's as good as a lot of his films, but I think a lot more of his films are tighter and have better, still just concepts that I enjoy more and that I think are executed better. Um, but off the back of that, what I think, I don't remember what we gave out of 10 originally, but what are you giving out of 10 now?
So I think you gave it a 7.
I remember giving it a 7. I think you gave it an 8 or a 9.
Yeah, 8. I gave it an 8.
Okay. What would you give it now, do you think?
A 9.
Okay. Yeah, I'd want to say 9, but I think with subtitles 9, without subtitles 8, because like the audio I think is still a problem, and
It's
there's
like
not really much you can do.
you're at a concert and these people are trying to explain you quantum physics. So
Yeah, and they're just yelling over things like, so basically, protons. It's like you need that video that Nolan did for Memento. He's got a
yeah.
whiteboard and he just starts drawing. He's like,
Oh
okay, here's this, here's this, and this.
yeah.
It's just like
Please do that.
he should
Please
do
do
that for
that.
all of his
Wait,
films.
wait. What if he did
What?
that for the Blu-ray behind?
Maybe he did. I mean, you've got the
Maybe he did.
special features. Let's do it. I would love to
Let's
hear, like Nolan talk about it more because, like, I don't know, like understanding a director, I think, is so important to, understanding their visions. It's like how, we're gonna rank all the Wes Anderson films. I just lent you Bottle Rocket to watch, and it's so interesting to see how their style progresses. And I think the same is true for Nolan, Tarantino, a whole load of directors who have such that kind of distinct style.
Yeah, yeah. And I wish a lot of directors explain their films because that would engage the audience as well.
Mm.
Like, oh, look at the details. Oh, look at the video. Look at the stuff that they
Yeah, well,
did, and
especially if his films
especially
are as convoluted and complicated as Tenet.
yeah.
Definitely. Do you
So,
have any last thoughts on Tenet?
mm, uh, no, I actually enjoyed it this
Yeah,
time.
me too. I mean, I
This,
didn't expect to, but this is a big surprise.
yeah, it was a big surprise. So,
Definitely.
yeah, I enjoyed it. So, yeah,
Me too. Definitely recommend. If you watched it first time and you didn't like it, try it again. I think that,
try again.
I've always said any film, a second viewing is important, and Tenet
Uh,
proves the
yeah,
theory like nothing else.
yeah, and watching the second film the second time is a gift because
It is a
you're
gift.
just it is so good. And but there's sometimes films that you want to watch it one time or something like that.
Hmm.
So
Well, I think it was a good thing that we waited. If I'd have watched this film like straight away, maybe not. But the fact that we waited a year, I think that really helped.
yeah, I agree.
But I
Yeah,
forgot so much of the stuff that happened in this film. I only remembered like the basics of the plot, and so like kind of revisiting it and figuring stuff out, while also kind of having that experience again was part of why I liked it so much more.
yeah. So so different. I didn't expect to enjoy it again
I know
because
I'm gonna be dreaming about this film forever now, just like thinking like, oh God, this is still hurting my brain, but I love it.
I love it. Yeah, it's just one of those films that you can't explain thoroughly. But I have been watching like YouTube videos on explaining Tenet, and
Mm.
none of it just can't get to my head. But
Yeah.
second viewing, it just worked somehow.
Yeah. I guess that's the beauty of it. Christopher Nolan, you are a genius, sir, and I salute you.
I salute you, sir. Right.
Let's get straight to viewing, shall we? Is what have you watched slash read slash played? Not necessarily this week, but recently, because I know that we only recorded the last episode yesterday.
So, I have been reading a graphic novel called, and let me get it, because it was a bit confusing the first time reading it.
Okay.
But here we go.
Just like Tenet. Oh my God. It all comes full circle.
I have the comic Secret Wars.
Oh, really? Okay. So is this the new one or the old one?
I was a bit confused because I thought, wait, is this the new one or old one? So I was looking at it and it's the new one,
Okay.
I think.
What year is it?
It is very let me look in there. And just give me a second. 2015.
2015. Cool.
Yeah, so it was I don't think if it's the same people who did all the other wars as well.
Well, just
So
like how DC loves their infinite crises, Marvel loves their secret things, secret invasion, secret empire, secret wars.
so this one is very different because it's like a rebirth of the whole universe, really. So like basically the Marvel universe is no more. like it's ended really,
Damn.
and they had this massive battle with two Earths colliding, and um, all the Avengers fight for it, but then some of the characters are being transported, and then the whole universe is rebooted, and guess who's basically god of this universe?
Don Cheadle.
No,
Oh, damn it. Who?
I know it's sad, but it's Victor Von Doom.
Oh, my guy.
Yeah, so he is like the creator of this whole different universe, but the other surviving members of the Avengers, they are transported to this new universe, which has been being reset. So yeah, it is crazy because because there's some characters that have been uh, merged, but also being changed, and like some of the big villains are in this as well, like Thanos. Who else? Uh, the other great villains as well. I think Thanos is just like the main
Thanos
one
and
there.
everyone else.
No, let me get all the other
Is
villains
Magneto
as well.
there? Because he's my favorite villain.
Um. What? Okay, no, he's not.
What?
I'm sorry.
That's a travesty. You have to
Uh,
knock on Marvel's door and tell them that they are poo-poo heads 6 years ago.
but it's focused on how to redeem back the old universe,
Mm.
and it is crazy. Like what other comics have you been reading? So, it was a bit confusing at the start because I was thinking, wait, what? Why are you giving me the order? Why are you giving me the information right now? And I thought I was reading the old one, but no, I was reading the new one. Because I thought, oh, this is like a revamped version of it, like updated version of it. No, it wasn't. So, um, so how do I explain this? So, okay, I'm just going to talk about how good it is. So the writing, yeah, I thought it was pretty standard. I thought it was a bit enjoyable to understand, but the drawings, it's great, and it does that unique Marvel style to it. But this is one of the best Marvel stories
Okay,
I
so
think I've read.
do you think it holds up, against like, like Civil War and Secret Empire, some of the best
It's
kind of
it's
like
a weird.
crossovers?
It is a weird one. This one.
Okay.
So, uh, how do I feel about it? So, with everything that was happening in this, it was a bit convoluted with everything. Sometimes I was a bit boring. I was a bit bored of this one bit. I was like, what? What's got to do with anything? And I felt that was a bit pointless. That so yeah, and what else? But it's a really cool concept.
Great.
Sometimes I don't know how interesting concept.
It's a great interest, I must say. So what would you give it out of 10?
I would give it an 8 or 9.
Okay,
I
that's
feel like
pretty
it
good.
is. Yeah.
Awesome.
It is a short one. It's a short one, I think.
Mm.
It doesn't have many pages, but it does feel like a long one. But yeah, I would recommend. So yeah,
Awesome.
right, cool. What you been reading, man? Oh,
Well,
watched or played?
something that I watched at the cinema this week was The Courier. So this is a Benedict Cumberbatch film, and it's about it's a true story about this guy called Greville Wynn, sorry, in the Cold War, just before the Cuban Missile Crisis, who is just like a regular businessman who becomes I guess a courier for Soviet secrets from the US, from the USSR to England and then to America, and it's this like so it's very much kind of like has like all those Cold War kind of things, obviously most of it being set in Russia, and I thought I was really impressed for a story that I didn't know about, for something that was so integral. Like this guy, if it wasn't for him, the Cuban Missile Crisis could have led out in, to full nuclear war. If it wasn't for him and the Russian agent like congressman who he teamed up with, this would have been a whole different thing. And it's such a the reason why it's such a good story is because I feel like it was made in the third act. The first two acts, there's a lot of montages, and I think that would be my main criticism. There's a lot of montages in it, and I feel like there is an inability towards the beginning to hold on a moment to really understand the situation of this man and what he's like, and in a deep way. He's kind of like a family man who has to kind of struggle with the fact that he's not allowed to tell anyone that he's doing all these things for the government. He just has to pretend that he's a regular businessman, but he's really struggling inside. And I thought Benedict Cumberbatch played that perfectly. But what happens in the third act, now without spoiling it, is the film kind of, presents a choice to the main character. And upon taking this choice, the stakes and the danger gets ramped up so much. And what you then see is this, this moment where, you see somebody who is really, run through the ringer a little bit and taken through stuff that's really like intense for anyone, let alone this person who had like no desire to really get involved with the government and stuff. And it shows like strength, for your country and for your friends, and the ability to make allies across different countries. And I think it's a story that, as I said, I didn't know, but is really important. And yeah, it was just something that totally came out of left field and really surprised me. And for somebody who loves history, and Cuban Missile Crisis was one of my favorite things to explore when I did it for in high school. I really think that this is a story that should be told more, and is told in such an elegant way, in such an emotional way, especially in that third act. That, yeah, 8 out of 10. Really, really enjoyed it, and definitely one that's worth going to see at the cinema.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
I'll add that to my list.
You definitely should. So yeah, what else have you watched, played, listened to, read?
All right, let me look. Let me look on Disney Plus.
Ah, hey, have you been keeping up with Monsters at Work?
Oh,
What?
I completely forgot about that show.
Well, I'll just
Honestly.
say I've been watching it. It's fine. It's still fine. There is one like quite fun episode where the Abominable Snowman comes back.
What?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Abominable. Can you
Right.
believe it? They should call me the Adorable Snowman. Anyway.
Oh. What if?
Oh yes. Okay. I've only watched one episode. So yeah, talk to me.
I've watched the episode of What If T'Challa became Star-Lord.
Okay.
So this one, I'm not going to talk about the whole thing, but I thought this episode was good. I thought it was good. But it's not a masterpiece, but it was. It hit different. Like, because it's Chadwick Boseman's last performance as T'Challa in this episode, and it was quite emotional at the end. And it was a really good what if, because it really explored about what if T'Challa was Star-Lord, and there was a lot of funny bits as well that you could see, like lots of Easter eggs, and it was cool. But with story-wise, it was a bit. The dialogue was inconsistent. Sometimes it would be a bit all over the place, and the voice acting was a bit hard to listen to. Like, I couldn't really connect with the characters as much because you got used to the voices a bit. But if you heard about like the voice, the actors not doing the voice lines or something. So like Robert Downey Jr. is not going to play. It's not going to voice act as Iron Man. So there's other actors that are trying to.
Yeah, that was. I mean,
role.
I've only watched episode 1, but Josh Keaton played Steve instead of Chris Evans.
Yeah, and but there's lots of different actors trying to do it, so put in them all. So you will see the fan favorite characters
Mm. Yeah,
and
I've
actors
heard
will.
quite a bit of it, and I guess I'm apprehensive. I mean, so I'm interested in what you thought of episode one, because I thought that episode one was, like really fast paced. The acting was, pretty flat. I don't think some of the regular actors could translate, their acting into their voices very well. It was, just like a basically like beat for beat, like, plot remake of First Avenger, but I didn't feel like I knew any of the characters. The character moments were, replaced with action that I thought was, quite lackluster, to be honest. And yeah, I wasn't hugely impressed by it. So I'm curious, what did you think of episode one?
Yeah, but I thought, yeah, this was good, but it was emotional with being Chadwick's last performance. So,
Mm,
but yeah. So I liked it, but it wasn't that good.
mm.
So I would give it 6 out of 10.
Okay. Um, yeah. So yeah, what about episode one there? I don't know if you heard me. Like what do you think of what did you think of episode one?
I didn't watch that one.
Oh, okay, interesting. You just went straight to episode two. Well, I hear that episode two is a
Yeah,
big improvement anyway. So good. Yeah. So 6 out of 10. Nice.
yeah. I liked it, but just give it a watch.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely intend to just keep up.
Right. Okay. Anything else you
I
watched?
got one more thing, and I kind
All
of
right.
spoke about this last week. I watched Reminiscence, and this is something that
Ah, yes, the
we were.
film that you told me last week that
Mhm.
you said it was all right.
Yeah, I was really excited for this one. Obviously, this is Lisa Joy, I think her name is. She did Westworld. Westworld's obviously really popular. I haven't seen it myself, but I hear it's got some really nice concepts in it. It looked very similar to Inception. It's actually produced by Jonathan Nolan, who wrote Inception, or at least co-wrote it. I it it's definitely like a sci-fi noir, and in it, there's lots of very interesting kind of concepts of going into memories and stuff like that. And the problem with it was that it just didn't have anything that really made it stand out. You know, it just kind of it felt like it was a story that I'd seen loads of times before, with a really interesting concept that I think you could have done something more with. There were, it kind of briefly explores corruption in this government, in this world that is, slowly flooding. And I thought that was a lot more interesting than this kind of love story that they want to tell. Um, that was like my big problem with it. I thought the acting was really good, and that there was some like nice little action sequences. The world building, I definitely think, was the most interesting part. The idea of this world that is flooding and is dying and kind of only awakes at night. That's really interesting stuff, and the whole kind of idea of going into memories and people being so hung up on nostalgia. That was stuff that I thought really stood out to me. And yeah, I think it moved like a good pace. It was just under 2 hours. They definitely could have dragged it out, but they didn't. However, I think that the third act was so confusing because, and I'm not going to spoil it, but there's at the end there is a whole kind of bit where the plot starts to make sense, or at least to the protagonist begins to kind of understand what's going on. And then just as like he decides, oh, he's about to make this big decision, it cuts to him right at the end, and it feels like, and then he reveals to the antagonist that he's figured out so much stuff, all which happened on off screen. There was no moment where like he did investigating and like realize these things. It was stuff that then just kind of started bringing stuff in from the past, and I feel like the film could have done with a good like 10 minutes or so to kind of like flesh that out a little bit. And I think right and I think from there that it's only like 10 minutes left, but things begin to fall apart because you just get the weirdest ending where you know, like the circumstances kind of like contradict themselves for how everything ends up. And it just kind of left me thinking, a kind of, it just didn't leave the best taste in my mouth, even though the film presented some really interesting concepts. And I think that maybe if the script had been worked on a little bit more and maybe in the hands of somebody else, obviously presumably Lisa Joy is used to working on TV in Westworld and stuff, but I think they could have been a little bit tighter. So yeah, unfortunately, while I was really excited for it, it didn't quite hit the mark. Give it a 7 out of 10. It wasn't great, but I think you probably enjoy it more the less of this kind of genre you've seen.
All right.
Yeah.
So
So I mean,
yeah.
watch it if you. I know that you like the look of the trailer. So I think it's worth watching if you like the look of the trailer. But if not, if you're stuck on what to watch, I'd say The Courier is a much better film to watch at cinema than Reminiscence.
All right. Cool. I'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. So then,
Okay.
before we get right to the end, we got some emails to talk about.
Oh yay.
So, just the other day, I put on our Instagram to for people to put on some questions. So I've got a couple of questions that I thought we could we could cover a little bit. So, our first one here is from, of course, it's from Joe, who says, "When's Heg Dog Films coming back?" We don't know, Joe. We don't know. Maybe
We
one
don't
day.
know.
Maybe one day we'll cover Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I can listen to you guys argue about it. That would be great. But yeah, we don't know. We don't know. Maybe one day. Maybe one day in the future. And our second one is from Rosie, who asks, "What's our favorite pod?" And this is an interesting one. What do you think your favorite pod was to record?
Oh, good question. Right, let me have a look through the Out of Time Film Podcast. So, I mean,
Oh, I know
I had.
them. I know them. Out of Time Film Podcasts. Top
Oh yeah.
lads. Top guys. Yeah.
So, let me go from the beginning. Okay. The most fun, the most fun episode I think I had was talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League.
That was good. Yeah, that was a fun one because we didn't do weekly viewing. We didn't do news. We just did about an hour and three quarters just talking about Justice League.
Yeah, and but another thing that was really annoying as well that we talked about Black Widow because it was just so bad.
Yeah, I always have quite fun talking about bad films. You just kind of sit there and just kind of think why, but you also get a good like I have fun just kind of ranting about these films that I wasn't too big on. I have to agree with you. I think some of my favorite pods have been the Zack Snyder Extravaganza. That was so much fun to look through all of his filmography. Well, not all of it, but a lot of his filmography. That was great. And those ones seem to be quite popular as well. Those are some of our most popular videos. However, I think my favorite one was Batman v Superman. I love that film and I loved talking about it so much. I thought we came up with some really interesting stuff. And I love talking about stuff like the politics in that film and, Batman in his role as an antagonistic force and Superman and Lex Luthor. I think that film's so interesting and I had so much fun talking about it.
Yeah. And that was like so fun to talk
Definitely.
about. So
Definitely. We also have an email from like the only person who ever emails us, Master Emribo, who says, "Hello, boys. Happy 1 year. Happy 1 year, John. Happy 1 year.
oh wow.
Very proud of
What yeah.
Yeah, very proud of you for what you guys have achieved over the past year of the pod. I've loved every episode and can't wait for another great year. Yeah, I've got so much cool stuff coming. I have a few interesting questions for you guys. You don't have to answer them all, but we'll definitely judge you guys for the ones you missed out on your general answers. Well, thanks. Good luck. Okay, so the first one, favorite pod to record. We just answered that one actually. So
Yeah, we just
that's
answered
good.
that.
The thumbnails have also been excellent. Yes, they have. Zane, our thumbnail guy, you should see some of the stuff that he's got lined up for year 2.
Yeah.
It's incredible. We've got some really cool stuff. So the thumbnails have also been excellent. Which do you think have been the best, and what would you say was the worst? Aha. I have an answer for the worst. I can tell you what the worst is immediately. The worst one is the original holiday special, and I'll tell you why. Because
my God,
I was importing it, and I literally was texting Zane. I was like, Zane, like, we need a thumbnail quick. And he woke up and he like been asleep all day. And he woke up and he was like, oh, right. And he just slapped our logo on a random picture. I was like, okay, here you go. And I was just like, it's like the most laziest one. Thankfully, though, he's tried pretty much every time since then. So that's my least favorite. I couldn't tell you my favorite, though. There's been so
what's
many
my least favorite?
ones.
What's my least favorite?
There's been so many cool ones, man.
I think my least favorite was talking about Mulan 2021, the one that came out.
Oh,
that
yeah.
one, I did not. I was not in for a ride for that one because
What
I was
would
like,
you say? What would you say your favorite thumbnail is?
Oh, my favorite.
Yeah.
I would say the La La Land and Spider Verse.
Oh, that's a great one. Best scores. Yeah, I love that one. I really like the ones where it's like where we do our rankings because Zane always puts together some of my favorite. One of my favorites is the best comic book costumes one. Fun fact: the picture of Falcon from that is actually from the hot toy of Falcon. And for our Suicide Squad we did recently, the 2016 one, that's a toy of Harley Quinn as well. So it's always fun knowing some of those intricacies. Um, One of my favorites is definitely Justice League. Zane spent so long trying to get like drawing those ones, and then the way that it's half of it's black and white and half of it's colored, I always really liked. But I really couldn't tell you my favorite. I am going to have to say, ooh, there's so many cool ones. I don't know. I'm gonna say Star Wars Clone Wars. I really love that animation style, and I love the Kit Fisto and Mace Windu and General Grievous kind of like three-way thing. And this is the start of because I always said to Zane we need more green in it, and I think since then we've had so much more green, and it makes me really happy. So yeah, there's definitely a favorite thumbnail. So then Master Enmiba then asks, this is an interesting question. If you had to sell each other, how much would you try and get, and what would you say to sweeten the deal? Okay,
What?
John, come on. If you're gonna sell me, how how much would you try and get, and then what would you say to sweeten the deal?
I, I what? What kind of question is that? Right.
Answer it.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
You go okay, right. If I was gonna sell you, I think hmm.
Honestly, I don't know.
Couldn't put a price
That's
on you, man. I couldn't put a price on you, but I'd definitely sell you for about £1, and I'd throw in my Ultimate Collector Series Millennium Falcon to make it worth it.
okay.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
I'm kidding, of course. Come on, how much you sell
Honestly,
me
I have
for?
no
Tell
idea.
me.
I
You have
have
to tell
no
me.
idea.
You got to answer it. How much you sell me for?
A pound. Yeah, a
Good,
pound.
good. We're both worth a pound. We are the scum of the earth.
For
Yeah,
I
how
don't
would you
know.
sweeten the deal?
And
Just with more ginger hair.
my
It's
Keanu
worth more.
Reeves portrait.
Oh, that's a pretty cool portrait, I must say.
Yeah.
Um, so our next question is: do you think Patreon is an option for the future? Yes, I'd love to do a Patreon. I think one day, if we have like a big enough following, a Patreon would be great. And I think if we ever do, we'll do some commentaries on there. I'm thinking we do some commentaries of Fast and Furious and Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Like there'd be loads of films that we could do. That would be
Yeah.
great. And if so, how much would I have to pay for John to watch all of Arrow? How much would someone have to pay for you to watch all of Arrow, John?
Oh my god. Uh, well, I'm gonna be nice. I would say 10 quid.
10 quid. That's a
I
lot. I
don't
mean,
know. But wait,
considering
no, all of Arrow. Oh,
all
I
of it,
don't know.
that includes
Honestly,
like
I
The
don't know.
Flash, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, Black Lightning, Batwoman, Superman and Lois, Stargirl. It's a lot of shows. There's like
Oh
600
god.
on episodes. $1
That'll
billion.
be a lot of my time on my hand.
£1 billion. Let's do it.
£1 billion. Yes, £1 billion. Yeah. Do that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Next
it's
question.
that.
These questions are crazy. If you had to send your co-host into a film/game universe, we had to control them through the plot, what would be your choice, and what do you think would happen?
Oh,
I
okay.
know exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have you be at the beginning of the Suicide Squad as part of Team A, and just be Savant watching everyone die, and then having your head blown up. That is it.
That is mean,
I would
but okay.
pay. I'd pay good
Okay.
money for that.
I would put you in right in the Batman Begins. You're one of the goons,
Oh no.
and you're just getting destroyed by Batman.
Oh, thanks, man. I mean, if you're gonna get beaten up by anyone, I'd love to get beaten up by Batman. That'd be great.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'd be crazy.
Next question. If you had to sell one of your limbs, which one?
Arm. My
Arm.
left arm.
Left arm. Okay. I'm gonna go right leg. I think I could do without my right leg. I could still run because I get like a prosthetic or something. But yeah, I need my arms. Furthermore, would you replace it with a robot limb? However, the catch is that the
Yes.
robot limb has a mind of its own and you can't control it. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
What do you think?
That is crazy. I'm not gonna have a robot limb. No, no, no.
Yeah, I think I'll be okay as well. Because like, if I have like a robotic leg, it can just kick people whenever it wants, and I don't want that.
And if I have a robotic arm, it's gonna punch me in the face all the
Oh
time.
my god, like that episode of Rick and Morty. It just
Oh
has
god, yeah,
a mind of its own. And the final
yeah.
question is, what's the worst thing you've played slash watched for the pod? Um, just like the
Suicide Squad.
thumbnail. No, I'm gonna
Suicide
say
Squad.
Star Wars Holiday Special. God, it was bad. It
Um,
was so bad. I had to
uh,
watch it at 2 times speed. It was painful. It was
same.
painful to
I
watch.
I did that, but I want to say that Suicide Squad that just gave
Not
me
even the
2 hours
extended cut.
of depression.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you listen to John on that episode, he's just like slowly just sitting there, just like, I want death.
Losing it. Yeah.
Yeah, so that thanks so much, Master M Rebo. The greats they have described themselves here as. So yeah, thank you, Master M Rebo, and thank you everyone. I'll use this opportunity to roll it out. Thank you everyone for listening for 1 year. I mean, that's crazy that we've been doing this 1 year. I mean, I didn't even know how long this would last at the beginning, but now it's generally something that I look forward to every week.
Yeah. And it's so good. I love it. Yeah. It's a great thing to do. And yeah. And I'm glad that we talked about Tenet. It's great.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think the people who I gotta thank the most for are obviously you, John. I have to thank you so much for
Uh,
coming with me.
I want to say thank
This
you
was
to you as well.
this was my
Yeah.
pitch, and I was saying let's do a podcast, and thank you for coming with me and engaging and being the best. Thank you to Zane for your amazing thumbnails every week. Thank you for everyone who's ever kind of engaged. Joe, for your couple times that you've been with us as for our collabs. There's just so many people who it means the world to me that you guys have supported us and engaged, and hopefully year two will get even more. Hopefully we'll get more emails and more comments and stuff like that. Stuff is it means the world to us. But yeah, if you like this video and if you like any of our videos, please give them likes and subscribe, and you can get in touch with us as always at ourstimefilmpod@gmail.com, or at Twitter or Instagram at ourstimefilmpod, or me on Twitter at Tom the Boardman.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
just thank you for the year, guys. It's been amazing. Thank you, John. It's been incredible.
Thank you.
It's been so good. Any last words?
No, that is it. Oh, yes. Wear your mask when you go to cinema. We want to keep them
Yes.
open.
Stay safe, guys.
Wash your hands when you're seeing friends. Wash your hands, or just be safe. Yeah.
Also, can I point
Right.
out that on episode 4 of the podcast, which is literally next week, as we record, as this episode comes out, on next episode 4, which is 50 weeks ago, we said, oh yeah, maybe one day we'll be back in person recording again. I don't know if I'll ever be back in person recording ever again.
Yeah.
It's never gonna happen. But yeah, I've had such a blast. Next week we're doing Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, the latest Marvel flick. So that's going to be great. And we've got so much in store for year 2. Straight off the bat, we've got Rick and Morty season 5, Venom, Star Wars Visions, No Time to Die, Wes Anderson's film, Venom, Let There Be Carnage, The French Dispatch, Last Night in Soho, Eternals, Ghostbusters Afterlife, Top Gun Maverick, every single Spider-Man film, live action that is, and Matrix, Kingsman, best film of 2021, and that is just this year. There's going to be so much coming, and I'm so excited. Hope you guys will all come on the ride with us. And yeah. I think that's it from me.
Yeah, that's it from me as well.
We live in a twilight world.
And dusk. Wait. Wait, was the light?
There are no friends at dusk, maybe?
There's no friends at dusk.
Yeah.
Right.
Tenet. So
Thank you for listening.
Indeed.
Take what you're given.
Give nothing back.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.